Good afternoon, everyone. Today, we're here to talk about a common problem that we have in the industry today in the wireless side, where customers are trying to utilize all of the spectrum that's available to them and make full and efficient use of that spectrum. In a lot of cases today, especially in FDD bands, we have a large guard band in the middle of the downlink and the uplink spectrums. And the main reason for that is, unfortunately, we don't have brick wall filters available to us in the industry. And so what ends up happening is we end up having guard bands on the order of 20 or 30 or even perhaps 50 megahertz or even larger than that. And that is spectrum that's basically getting unutilized and completely wasted. In some cases, customers are throwing away about 25 or 30% of the spectrum that they have bought for billions and billions of dollars. And this is where I think GenXComm and its technology comes and is very, very useful because it allows the downlink and uplink bands to be placed right next to each other through our proprietary cancellation technology, which will allow you to cancel the leakage that you get from the transmitter in your desired receive band. And we'll show you an example of that today. So by canceling off the interference that we get in the receive band, we're able to bring the spectrum basically right next to each other and keep the transmit and receive spectrum right adjacent to each other. So we'll go through an example of this today. I'm going to first turn on the desired signal, and this is our signal of interest. It is 5 megahertz wide. This is an LTE carrier OFDM signal, 5 megahertz wide, and there you can see it. That's what the signal looks like. What we're going to do is we're going to show you that this is a pretty good signal. Obviously, there is no blocker or strong interferer present at this time. So we'll show you and we'll measure the EVM. So to measure the EVM, I'm going to switch to this and measure the EVM here. And you'll see that in just a second here. Yep, you can see our EVM, and that's a good looking constellation there. We've got a 64 QAM, almost about 30 dB of EVM. So that's good looking signal there. We'll jump back and look at this in spectrum mode again for a second. Let's see here. I'm going to click on this again, and we're going to look at this in spectrum mode. So there's our desired signal. Now, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on our blocker signal. So there it is, generating this strong interferer. And what you'll see in the spectrum domain here, there it is. There's our very, very strong blocker. And notice this is a 10 megahertz LTE carrier. Our receive band's 5 megahertz, and you see this gap here. This is only about a megahertz and a half. So very, very close by, and you can see the adjacent channel leakage over here. I can even adjust the reference on the spectrum analyzer here. Give me a second. This will allow us to see it a little bit better. There it is. You can see this ACLR leakage over here. You can see the desired signal barely sticking out of that ACLR. So there's really no way we're going to be able to demodulate this signal. And this is really the problem that people face in the industry today. Because of this, they actually separate this band and this band, like I said earlier, by almost 25 or 30 or even 50 megahertz. And so what we're going to do is with our cancellation technology now, I'm going to turn on our digital canceller and I'm going to turn on our canceller, which is both a combination of analog and digital cancellation. Let's see, we're going to turn this on. Click on this right here. Okay. Some reason. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so just clicking on the wrong spot there. So we're going to turn on our canceller, and as soon as the software initializes the canceller and is able to place it, we'll be able to see. There it is. There's our cancellation, and you can see that that strong blocker signal that we had is now completely knocked down. It's just a little bit above the noise, but it's in an adjacent channel. This is the channel we're really trying to look at. You'll also notice that we're able to see the desired signal a lot more clearly now, and the ACLR has also been minimized. So we've been able to do this and bring this all the way down. Now we want to make sure that we can demodulate this signal. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to click on this EVM tab and see what kind of EVM measurement we get from this. So there we go. We've got almost 31 dB of EVM. So this is exactly what we had seen even earlier, and we're getting the same EVM performance right now as well. So there's basically no degradation whatsoever in performance after we've implemented our cancellation. Um, Now, let me come back to this for a second. You may ask me that, how do you know that things were all fine when we had the blocker in place? So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off our cancellation again for a second. So we're going to turn it off, and you'll see the blocker will come back. And let's see, wait for the blocker to come back here. There it is. There's our blocker back, and you can see our desired signals again submerged by this. This is with our cancellation off. If I look at the EVM in that case, you'll see that in this kind of a scenario, we're definitely not able to. There it is. Don't have a nice, pretty constellation at all by any means. I can't even sync to the pilot or anything like that, and I basically don't have any EVM at all to speak of because I can't demodulate the signal. It's just garbage. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to re-enable our canceller, and it'll take a second here. So there we are. We're working to re-enable our canceller now, and we'll hopefully knock the blocker signal back down. There it is. The blocker signal's knocked down. Now we don't have the strong blocker affecting us because we've canceled that. And we'll go take a look at the EVM. There it is. There's our really, really good EVM performance of 32 dB. So you could see that we're able to restore the performance that we had, where if the blocker was present without the cancellation, there was no hope at all to recover that signal. Now, one of the other things I'd like to show you also is to really show you um, the fact that we've been able to take the signal and any of the blocker cancellation that we had in this band, we've almost canceled it down to the noise floor. So what we're going to do here is we're going to shut off the desired signal. So there's no more desired signal coming in. And you can see this is that, remember that ACLR that we had that was sitting way up here somewhere? We basically brought it all the way down. Ignore this little DC offset term. This is a little bit of LO leakage that we're getting, which there's really no information at DC, so that's not a problem. And you can see this residual signal. This is after cancellation. This is where we're sitting at. That's the reason we've got such good EVM performance, because we've been able to take that ACLR of the blocker and knock it completely down. We've knocked the blocker and its ACLR completely down. So this basically shows you that with GenXComm cancellation technology, you're able to bring the downlink and uplink bands right adjacent to each other and be able to utilize your spectrum more efficiently. Hope that was helpful and useful to you. Thank you so much.